Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing another October daily video with you. This one is a process video, but probably my last one will just be a flip through because that's just kind of how it's been working out for me. So just going with the flow. I'm starting with day 26 here and also 27 I'm going to put on the same page because nothing much happened on those days and I was still sick or had some sort of allergy thing after being sick, and so there's really not a whole lot to write about or photograph. So I just have some pictures from Casey and I's walk during the day, so mostly just photos of my outfit, stuff like that. And I'm just wanting, since the entire middle of this book is white, I'm just wanting to matte these photos on a different background so that way there's a little bit more color going on there. Because nothing was going on, I'm wanting to put them on the same page just to avoid using more pages than is necessary. Yeah, you know, no one wants to use a bunch of space on a day when not much happened. So I am going ahead and doing my date stamp as usual, and I'm going to just cut it in half so that way each picture can have a date stamp. And again, I cannot recommend enough stamping these out ahead of time if you're planning to use them over and over, because just cutting them out has been really nice during this project. So I'm definitely going to do that in the future for other things as well. So I'm just looking for placement here, and I'm wanting to add a title with the stickers. Just kind of looking at my options here since the page is white. I'm also getting to the point where I'm getting lower on supplies, but wanting to also use up as many as I can because I bought them for this project. And while I could use some of them next year, and I probably will still have to, I'm just trying to use up as many as I can the first time around. So you'll see me kind of going through everything and trying to see what I can use on these pages. I'm finding that the stickers were pretty easy to use, but the ephemera I really did not use very much, and I don't know if that's just because it's the same texture as the papers or if they are just weird sizes. And you know, I was using smaller elements a lot in this album. So yeah, there's definitely a lot more ephemera left than any of the other supplies that I bought. I'm looking at using this gravestone, being basically over dramatic about still being sick. It was just kind of annoying because I feel like I've been healthy this year, and normally I get sick quite a bit, and so I was feeling good about not being sick at all. And then of course I got this cold and it hung on for quite a while, so it was just kind of a bummer, but that's okay. I just kind of did what I could, forced me to rest, I guess, which I'm not the best at, so I guess it's probably a good thing in the long run. I'm using my white alpha to put the number on the photos. And the alpha that I used was just Kelly Purkey's black alpha. And the other side there, I'm just looking through my stickers, trying to find things that will fit well on this page. I'm considering using some of these like spiders and things because I feel like I have a lot left over, but I just don't really like the way that they look. So I do add the word eek from the stickers, and then I put that tombstone down and my other date stamp, and I feel pretty good about the way that that looks. And then I go ahead and add the rest of the piece of washi tape from the top to the bottom, and I just kind of try to make it look like it was underneath the photo since I did not have that foresight. But I think it works out pretty well. You can't really tell. So for the second side, this is day 28, and on this day I was still not feeling the best, but we watched one of my favorite movies. It's called Stardust, and that was just a really nice night because we're kind of going through some family things, and things are just generally kind of stressful outwardly, and so I think it was the first night in quite a while where I wasn't just worried about things that I have no control over because it's just kind of one of those movies that you get really swept up in the adventure and all of that, and so I felt like it deserved its own page, and it was a really good night for me, even though, watching the movie is not a huge deal, but I just really enjoyed it. So I just grabbed some screenshots from the movie, just from Google on my phone, and then used my Pic Frame app to put them 4 to a page, which would make them 3x2s, which isn't something I've really done yet in this album, but it works really well with the size, so I'm going to definitely be doing more of that in the future. So I just printed 3, and I have another one, but I'm just going to save it for my normal Project Life album because I think 3 fits really well on this page. Because the page is so white, I am matting them on this scrap of black marble paper, which is also from the Spellcast range, and I'm just sticking it over, right aligning it, and I think it works really well with the photos because they're mostly pretty dark. And it's going to take me a little while to figure out exactly what I'm doing here. I'm trying these One Canoe 2 rub-ons, and I've never used rub-ons before, so I'm just sitting here messing around with them, trying to figure out how to get them to work. And I realized there's a piece of something on the back that you take off first, and then I rub it the wrong direction, and it comes off on the applicator stick. But basically the thing I'm wanting to find out is if when I put them on a photo, is that going to scratch off or not. And it turns out that it doesn't scratch off, so I spend quite a while rubbing these onto the photos because they have such a dark background that I think this foiling will look really cool. And also it works well because they're all stars and the movie is Stardust. If you guys haven't seen this movie, it's going to take me forever, even though this is very sped up, to apply all these little stars. So I'll just tell you about my favorite, one of my favorite movies for a little while, but it's about this fallen star that falls, and this guy goes looking for it to prove his love to this woman that he wants to marry. But when he gets there, it turns out that the star is actually a girl, and so he embarks on this journey to bring her back to this woman that he wants to marry. And it's kind of one of those movies where, it's like a coming of age thing, but it's very much like everything goes wrong and you meet all these quirky characters, and it's definitely like a fantasy adventure sort of movie, which I love. I don't feel like there are enough of those in the world. Or if you find them, they're sci-fi or from the 80s, and that just isn't my favorite. So I really love this movie. And I just wanted to kind of give it its own page, especially after how good it left me feeling that day. So you can see that I rubbed on the stars to the edges of all these photos, and I've added a gold foil chipboard crescent moon. You can see my cat's paw every once in a while. He's sitting at the top of the screen there. So yes, I'm just looking for other embellishments, and I basically don't have anything that I want to use because There's my cat again. I just feel like all the gold alphabets I have are too big, or the only small one that I have doesn't have enough letters left. So I'm being very careful with my old gold pen here, and I've actually written it out in pencil first. There's my cat. He's so cute. And then I'm going over it with my pen. And it actually goes really well until the end, when I'm just trying to go over it that second time, and I'm being really careful and getting all the paint off. I'm just trying to give the letters a little bit more shape, and then all of a sudden too much ink starts coming out, and so a couple of the letters are just totally messed up. Again, with how careful I'm being, so I try to blot it and it just makes it worse. I don't know, at some point I'm just gonna have to start putting my head down on the table to show how how much things just don't work out sometimes, but that's okay. So I have another scrap of the background paper, and I'm using Kelly Purkey's gray alpha to spell out what I had written there. Do they stare back? And I'm going to cut that and fit it in the spot where I messed it up. And I'm hoping that I can make an interesting enough border on the page that it won't look weird, that I'm using the same paper, but it's not going to match up or anything. I'm also hoping that the gray is a good enough contrast to the black. Obviously not as good as the gold was, but there's nothing much to be done about it now. And the one thing, for all the great things about the Kelly Purkey Alpha, the thing I do not like is that it doesn't have any question marks or exclamation points, and so I cut up a 2 there to make it into a question mark, because I felt like without a question mark it just didn't make sense. So I marked off the area where that's going to sit so I can add more rub-on stars around the edge. Scallywag. For some reason, I think the day that I made this and my last video, the cats just really wanted to be in it. But overall, I really like, excuse me, I really like the rub-on transfers. I've never done them before, and I was kind of wary, but I mostly bought them because I just thought these constellations were too cool to pass up. They're from the One Canoe 2 Creekside collection. And I actually recently just bought a second package because I like them so much, and doing this page wiped out all the stars that were not in a constellation from one of the 2 sheets, and so I figured having another one would be good. But yeah, I really like them. I just think they're very pretty, and I like that it helps me put a small embellishment on. I feel like it can be kind of hard to find an embellishment that's not, that's actually that small. Usually it's actually bigger than I want it to be. So yes, highly recommend. I am trimming this down just a little bit because it's kind of hard to actually get the rub-ons where you want them, and I don't want to cover them all up. So now I'm just erasing the pencil line that I traced. And I want to do the date stamp on here, but I don't really want it to be orange since this whole page is really nice and cohesive. So I stamp it in gray, and then I put the date in gray as well. And just cut that out instead. But it's actually not close enough to the top. So I'm using the other piece and stamping it really close to the top, so that way it will fit there a little bit better. And I like how that turned out. And then I also add a few more stars to the label just to keep it cohesive. For all the wonderful things about this movie, it just doesn't really have too many quotes that would have worked in this space, at least. So now I'm just kind of showing you where the stars are and showing you the reflection of them. So I really like how these 2 pages turned out, even though it wasn't the most exciting set of days in existence. But I think that they turned out really well. I like how I've been using up as many of my supplies as I can and trying new things during this project. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think, and I will see you guys next time for the very, very last video for my October daily. So thank you so much. Bye.